Hi, my name is Amber. Welcome back to my channel, Books and Beaches. So I am back on the floor and it is time to talk about all of the books that I read in the month of February. And I should probably say titles, all of the titles I read in the month of February, because while I did read 13 titles in the month of February, it actually is more like, I think 7 books and it was like 6 short stories. So it sounds like a lot, but in reality, like page-wise, it wasn't as much as it seems. So let's go ahead, jump in and take a look at everything I read. Now, most of these will probably be, pictures of the covers, because even if I did own them, most of them are loaned out right now. So let's go ahead. The very first book I finished basically like on February 1st. So I'm counting it towards February, even though primarily the majority I read in January. And that was Things I Wish I Told My Mother. And this is by Susan Patterson, as well as Susan DiLallo. This was one of my 12 books that I pulled off my shelves that I wanted to read in 2024. I didn't do a vlog on this one, more so because my audiobook hold from the library came in and it just was kind of like, you just can't help when those happen. And I had already done my spins for January. I wasn't ready to start my spins for February. So I just read it, called it good, and that was that. Basically this one, it was different than I guess what I expected, but it was because I hadn't really read the description. So that's totally on me. We have a mother-daughter pair who don't always get along the greatest. But the mother finds out that even though she's a doctor, she doesn't have a lot of time like left per se. I can't remember if it was cancer or an illness of some sort. I can't remember which one it was. But decides she wants to travel with her daughter with the time that she has left. And so they take a trip to Paris and then Norway, because her mother and her family is from Norway. And this is kind of like their last trip to like reconnect their mother-daughter relationship and, like reconnect with family that's in Norway. And the daughter plans it all, and they have differing opinions of how this trip should go and things that they're doing on this trip. And it was okay. I think I wanted more of an emotional connection from this book, and I think you're going to see that with a lot of the books that I read in February. So, because though I read a lot of titles in February, February's overall rating was meh, or average, I guess, to say the least. So I rated this one, I guess I rated it 2. I thought I rated it higher than that, but there were just a few things with this book that I didn't connect with, and then the ending to me was kind of like, So I don't want to give too much away, but that was Things I Wish I Told My Mother by the Pattersons and the other Susan. So after that, I started to pick up probably the short story collection that a lot of people picked up in the month of February. And this was put out by Amazon. And of course, I think it was called the Meet Cute collection. And so it was a set of 6 short stories, which is, like I said, why I had 13 titles in the month of February. And so I'm going to just kind of list them all off here. It doesn't make sense to talk about each one of them individually because they were so short. And I listened to all of these via audio because they were available on Kindle Unlimited in both the ebook and the audio version. And because they were so short, it did not take me long at all to get through them. And so trying to even describe them would be pointless because they're just so short. But they all surrounded around like these meet cute experiences of how these couples met each other. And while I found a few of them okay. Most of them felt very short for me. So I'm going to tell you the titles, the authors, and my ratings, but otherwise I will just link them below and you can discover them for yourself. I think if you were a primarily romance reader, you may get more out of them than I did. But I suppose even in the short stories of the thrillers that I did this past fall, I liked some, and then the other ones fell short. So anyway, all right, so the first one was The Exception to the Rule. This was by Christina Lauren, and I gave that one a 3. We have the Worst Wingman Ever, and that was by Abby Jimenez. That one I gave a 4, so that was the one I rated the highest. The third one was Rosie and the Dreamboat, and this was by Sally Thorne, and I gave that one a 2. Now, kind of no surprise because I have not really liked anything by Sally Thorne, so there's that. After that, we have Drop, Cover, and Hold On, and this was by Jasmine Guillory. I gave that one a 1. I did not like it at all, which makes me kind of happy that I have all of her books listed on my Pango, or I may have sold them all at my rummage sale. I can't remember because I absolutely did not like that one. The fourth one, I believe, nope, this might be the fifth one. I've lost count already. With Any Luck, and this is by Ashley Poston. I gave that one a 2. And then the final one was Royal Valentine by Sariah Wilson, and I gave that one a 3. So, like I said, take my review with a grain of salt because I am really hard on romance reads, and these were all supposed to be like short, neat, cute stories. So, but I am a fan of Abby Jimenez's writing, and I usually like Christina Lauren, so those two I did find myself liking more than others, but the rest were just kind of meh to me. So, all right, so between all of reading all of those short stories, I did pick up a couple other things, and one thing I did get a chance to read, and I wish I had this, but I think I gave it to my mom to read. I had received a copy through a giveaway of The Fury by Alex Michaelides. I'm gonna say it both ways. And this actually came out this month in February, and so I picked that up. Basic premise of this is we are getting such a unique perspective. We're getting a story told basically from, I don't want to say the third person, but from the person that like lived the story. And it is set on an island in Greece, which first of all, I loved. And he is telling us about, you know, this murder that happened on this island and kind of about these twisted set of friendships and how everybody's connected and where everybody's met. Gosh, I'm not doing a great job at explaining this at all. I really enjoy Alex Michaelides' writing. I loved The Silent Patient. And I actually really liked The Maidens as well. And so I liked this one. Do I think it lived up to The Silent Patient in my mind? No. But I still like it, and I think I'd still recommend that people read it. Because it has such a unique way of being written, because you're seeing into the mind of the character that's telling the story, and so you're kind of seeing it through. He wrote it almost as if it's like a play, and so it's a very unique perspective of how it's being written. So I ended up giving that one. Now I just have to remember. I gave that one a 4. So I mean, a 4 for me is a really good rating. So I liked it. I'm sure it's probably getting slightly mixed reviews, but in my book, it was pretty good. All right. Now, this book, I won't talk too long about because I do have a video that I talked all about it when I read this, and this was probably the biggest shocker of the month that I read, and that was Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Yes, this thriller reader read Fourth Wing. This was my February book club pick for my in-person book club that I'm part of. We did Fourth Wing February, and Surprisingly, I really liked this. If you want to hear more of my thoughts, I will link that vlog below. But yeah, I was quite surprised at how much I enjoyed this. I do think the audio does this book justice, especially if you want you know, help with character names and the setting and all of those things. It's definitely great. I think the dragons in here are sassy and hilarious. You know, I have not picked up the sequel yet. So we shall see if I decide to do that. I'm not sure I'm ready to commit to what I believe is going to be a 5-book series. So I don't know. We shall see. But yeah, this one I can understand the hype. So I read it. All right. After that, I actually now own 2 copies of this book, both of which I have loaned out right now. I think my mom has one, a coworker of mine has the other, and because I just knew. I knew this is a book that I want to put in everybody's hands. And this is another book that came out in February. And I am sure everybody is talking about this book. And I know you're like, Amber, just tell us what this is. This book has the potential already, as of February, has the potential to be the best book that I think I've read this year, and that is The Women by Kristin Hannah. Now, I had this book from NetGalley in ebook, but I waited because I found out that Julia Wayland was reading the audiobook or narrating the audiobook, and I love Julia Wayland, so I wanted to wait, and it was so worth the wait. I love a Julia Wayland narration. But this book was phenomenal. I to this day cannot stop talking about this book. I mean, I read this book. Let me even look at the dates here because on my spreadsheet I keep track of the dates. I read this book. Let's look. Back. I read this book almost a month ago. It's March 4th right now that I'm filming this. I finished this book almost a month ago. And I still have not stopped talking about this book. And anybody I put this book in their hands, I can't wait to talk about it with them. The premise of this book is we have a woman who, after seeing her brother go to Vietnam in the Navy, and unfortunately he does get killed, and you find this out right away, so I'm not really spoiling anything, she decides to sign up to go to Vietnam as a nurse. She's already a nurse. That was what she went to school for. And she will find any way possible to go to Vietnam as a nurse because 2 of the different branches of the military won't even let her without nursing experience because she hasn't worked in a hospital yet. And so we not only get to see her go to Vietnam, but we get to see her come home. And there are so many different scenes in this book that are hard-hitting and gruesome and unbelievable, and they make you angry and they make you sob and just all of the range of emotions. I think the test of a good historical fiction makes you go and Google more information about history. I think Vietnam is one of those points in history that we don't always learn the most about in school. You know, I can recall a lot of the different points in history that not only did I learn about in school, but I've taught about because I did used to teach social studies as part of my curriculum. And it's one of those areas that, at least in the classes that I took and the classes that I taught, we didn't do a lot of history about. You know, we cover World War II, we cover the Civil War, you know, we cover a lot of the development of the Americas, but I feel like that's a time in our history we don't cover as much. And so I did so much more research into this time period because of this book. And I think that truly says something about how well this book was written because, one, it grasped me in, but 2, it made me look more into it. And so you can tell that Kristin Hannah had done her research and it was very accurate. It even made me had conversations with family members that were alive during this time and asking them like what they remember. And this was the first book in a long time, because I cannot remember having this feeling, that immediately after I finished it, I wanted to start it again. And I could not tell you the last time I felt that way about a book. And I still want to start it again. I haven't, but I want to. So, I mean, I've gushed about this book enough. I know I have. I've been talking for quite a while, but clearly this book will be at the top of my list for my 2024 favorites, and it's only February. So there's that. All right. I think that's enough about the women, but all right, after that and after all of those other ones, I did pick up The Teacher by Freida McFadden. I had both the audio and the ebook available from NetGalley, which was amazing. And I love a good Freida McFadden. I consider Freida McFadden like a palate cleanser thriller. You always know you are going to get a good twist in there, or maybe a good couple twists, and it's just going to be a really easy read thriller. And you know, this one was unique because it was calling to me because it's called The Teacher and I work in education. This one is going to be a little bit of a trigger warning because it does deal with a student-teacher relationship. We have our main character who is already kind of, you know, ostracized a little bit because she has something to do with a previous teacher no longer having a job at her building. And then we have a couple who is married who each have this student in their class. Now, our female main character is a very tough math teacher, and our male main character teacher is an ELA teacher, or you know, an English teacher, who is kind of like the cool teacher, who likes having this girl in his class, and things kind of go from there. And it is just, it can be a rough read at times, but there are so many things you don't expect in this book. And I have even had a couple people read this book and like text me after and be like, wait, what was that in? So I won't give anything away, but it definitely is a Freida McFadden worthy twist. So I know it's kind of receiving like some mixed reviews out there, but I enjoyed it. Let's see, I'm almost positive I gave it a 4.5. I wasn't quite positive. There were a few things missing for me, and like I said, you have to like just kind of settle with how uncomfortable that relationship is. So there's that. All right, after that I picked up one of the other books that I did for my spin for my February reads, which I do have a vlog filmed. I just haven't put it out yet. So this would have been the book that came off of my 12 picks that my friends made for me. And this is The Collected Regrets of Clover, which is by Mickey Brammer. So I will have most of my thoughts in that vlog. I just haven't finished it up yet because I am pretty sure I am soft DNFing the other book that's going to be in that vlog. So I will have that coming out for you so you can hear more of my thoughts there. But I will tell you my rating for this one is 3.5. So like I said, my February reads are a little just average or meh. I thought the story was good. But for all of the reviews I was reading on this super emotional connection story that I was supposed to be getting, it just wasn't there for me. So like I said, that vlog will be coming soon. So stay tuned, because I really am trying to keep myself accountable for those goals that I set for myself. But I was just trying to decide whether or not I was gonna like soft DNF the other book that I spun for. And I'm thinking now that I really am. So there's that. And then finally, the last book that I finished in February was Swear on This Life by Renee Carlino, and that was the book that I did for my Read Like a Booktuber project that I'm doing each month. And in this case, I read like Chloe from Always Booked, which I also have a vlog about, and I will make sure to link that below. And I rated that one a 3.5 as well. And Chloe and I kind of chatted in the comments a little bit, and she said it was just kind of a book that hit right for her in that moment, and I completely understood that. And I think reading through a lot of the reviews, that was the same for a lot of other people, so I could see where they got, you know, that same effect, and it just didn't hit right for me at that moment. So if you want to hear more about that book, I'll make sure to link that vlog or that video below as well. So those are all of the books that I read in February. And yes, I know, clearly you can tell which one was my favorite. But what books did you read in February? Anything that I should add to my list to pick up? Feel free to leave those in the comments below. As always, if you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.